Viewer discretion is advised. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where two friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents. Oh, yeah. I'm Amanda.
Oh, I'm Lucy.
Oh, geez. And this week we have a very special fan pick that comes to you from our beloved Shannon Welsh.
Welsh?
Down in that old dusty trail.
Shannon had a weird one for us today.
Shannon did have a weird one for us today, and I got the fan pick, and I'm curious what you're covering today. But her chosen topic is Lavender Crimes.
Lavender.
Do you want to read her cute little email?
I do, because this will explain the topic of lavender crimes.
Why?
Okay, so Shannon says, quote, I'd like to dedicate this episode to my mother-in-law, Mary Welsh. She has a great sense of humor, and as soon as I told her about Wine and Crime, she started listening and loves it. We always chat about episodes, and sometimes we listen together. Our family is sometimes annoyed by our inside joke Wine and Crime references, but fuck them, we like what we like.
Hell yeah.
She can often be found listening on her earbuds while she mows the lawn or cleans house.
Oh.
I'm assuming she's a gambler then.
Yeah.
Cleaning house.
Just, yeah.
Mary loves wine, and our favorite bottle to drink together is a rosé called Fleur de Mer.
Fleur de Mer.
Fleur de Mer.
Fleur de Mer.
It reminds me of a family trip we took together to the south of France, a special place Mary and her husband Jim suggested that we visit. Rosé all day, baby. I am so lucky to have married into such a great family. Mary isn't just a second mom. She's a wonderful friend. Love you, Mary.
Mary. We love Mary.
I think we love Mary.
We love the Wine and Crime mams. Such a mam.
Also, not to sound this bougie, but the south of France is maybe my favorite place I've ever been to. Also,
Never been, but I hear it is
fucking gorgeous lavender as far as the eye can see.
Well, lavender is like from there, right?
Well, we'll kind of get to it.
Okay. Because I feel like I saw that. Yeah.
Short answer is yes.
I have like no interest in Paris whatsoever, but I really want to go to the south of France.
France is a gorgeous country.
Just gorgeous. Gorgeous.
You could go really anywhere and it would be, well, maybe not anywhere, but lots of places.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
Well, it is perfect that Shannon is talking about Fleur de Mer, because that is the recommended pairing today. So this is a stunningly gorgeous looking rosé. It's like the perfect like Vanderpump pink.
Ooh.
It's so delicate. It looks absolutely gorgeous, like you said. And their little notes about it say, perfectly provincial. We grow and make our wine in Provence, the world's best-known rosé region and home to a serene sense of artistry and beauty for centuries. The Provence sun-washed Mediterranean climate also provides the perfect conditions for crafting our rosé. Yeah, the south of France as a viticultural region is incredible. It's really just like perfect. They have this rocky, mineral-rich soil, and the temps are really moderate, and then they have like the beautiful warm breezes off of the Mediterranean that extend that growth period for the grapes so that they can really reach their full potential. And it does not surprise me that rosé would be so perfect here, because rosé can really, if the grape isn't allowed to like do its damn thing on the vine, rosé can be very bland. It can be very limiting in flavor unless it's like aged in something a little bit more robust. But when you can really have the right climate for those grapes to thrive on the vine, then you're going to get some like gorgeous, complex notes out of your rosé. And I fucking live for it. A good
rosé is
unmatched.
So fucking good.
Rosé can either be like my favorite ever or my least favorite ever. Like the difference can be that profound. The culture inspires the way our wine engages your senses in a uniquely provincial fashion. Our crisp and refreshing style pairs perfectly with a life of beauty.
Oh,
So this is a smooth, balanced rosé. It's a little fruit forward. They say it has notes of white peach, raspberry, strawberry, watermelon, and refreshing hints of sea spray and herbs. So it's going to have a little bit of that like earthy tone to balance out all of that fruit. And yeah, it's a perfect pairing for this because they really honor that like south of France history of lavender, the herb. And the label is this beautiful lavender color with like a gold stamp on it. It's very French. It's very, very classy. It's very pretty.
beautiful.
So it doesn't look like you can buy it online, but they have this really useful tool under their where to buy page where it just shows the Fleur de Mer and you put in your zip code and then it'll find a retailer that has it near you. So definitely check out their website. It's fleurdemerrosé.com, FLEURDEMER rosé.com.
Your French is just soaking right in.
Isn't it just amazing? So yeah, check them out. And then you can use that locator tool to find where you can get a bottle of this exquisite rosé. And in the meantime, I'm drinking water and consuming smokes that make me silly.
Those silly smokes.
I'm having some puffs of silly smokes. So we shan't be leaving you in the dry, dry desert today.
No.
So
No desert for you.
No desert for you, little coven listener.
Good thing I have my massive black Stanley. Haven't seen this puppy in a bit, have you?
You need two hands to lift it when it's full. It's like as
Truly.
heavy as your baby.
Look at my wrists. I can't lift this with one wrist.
They're swole. All right. While Lucy tends to her wrists, shall we take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors?
Oh, oui, oui.
Oui, oui. Je m'appelle Bootsy.
Ich heiße Dick.
Je suis la jeune vie. Life is hard, y'all, and you gotta just really enjoy the good things in life. And sometimes shopping can be a negative experience, especially for clothing.
Sometimes.
A lot of the time, okay? And, you might enjoy a little bit of luxury, and that doesn't always mean that you can always afford it. And I was in that boat too until I discovered Quince, which has become my go-to for luxury essentials at affordable prices. And you can shop from the comfort and convenience of your own home.
That is perhaps the best part. But
It's beautiful.
I've noticed that like all of my favorite clothing brands have become so expensive lately. And so more and more, Quince is my first stop when I'm shopping online for pretty much anything. Quince offers a range of high-quality items at prices within reach, like 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters starting at $50, washable silk tops and dresses. I was always afraid of silk because I'm like, well, I got to dry clean it every time.
Yup, sure don't.
Sure don't. Not with this. They also have organic cotton sweaters, 14 karat gold jewelry. They got bags. Honestly,
it's a one-stop shop.
It's so much fun browsing their website. And the best part is all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. So they do this by partnering directly with top factories. They cut out the cost of the middleman, and Quince passes that savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes, which we love. I recently got a laptop backpack from Quince.
Cute.
It's black. It's Italian leather. It's gorgeous. I use it every time I leave the house with my laptop.
Yeah, Quince is just the best for like the go-to staples of your wardrobe. So give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/wine for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/wine to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/wine.
You know I love disgusting facts. And this is perhaps on the more disgusting end.
It's up there.
Did you know that you are eating and drinking roughly a credit card's worth of plastic every single week.
Every week.
I can't. I think of that every time I look at a credit card. The products that we're using every day are ultimately contaminating our water supply, generating hundreds of microplastics that we end up ingesting. It's floating around your veins, baby. So Blue Land has set out to do something about it, which is eliminate the need for single-use plastics in the products we reach for the most.
Exactly. The idea is simple. Blue Land offers refillable cleaning products with a beautiful cohesive design that looks great on your counter. You don't even have to hide it. You fill your reusable bottles with water, you drop in the tablets, and you wait for them to dissolve, and voila, you've got powerful cleaners that smell amazing to clean your bathroom, your counters, your toilet, your hands, whatever you could possibly think of. Like, Blue Land truly makes it. And you will never have to grab bulky cleaning supplies on your grocery run that have all of that excessive use of plastic. It's also such a good saver for your wallet because the refill tablets start at just $2.25, and you can do what I have done and set up a subscription, or you can buy in bulk for additional savings, and then you just don't have to think about, when I'm on this errand run, I have to pick up X, Y, and Z. Nope, Blue Land's just going to deliver it to your door on your schedule. Blue Land products are independently tested to perform alongside major brands and are free from dyes, bleach, and harsh chemicals. I mean, I use these on my laundry, my dishes, my toilet, my shower. I use it everywhere. They have cleaning sprays. They have hand soap. The toilet bowl cleaner is magic.
My favorite.
Seriously, the laundry tablets are amazing, especially if you have sensitive skin. It's just nice to have something that's going to get your laundry clean without all that extra stuff that can make you a little itchy. All Blue Land products are made with clean ingredients that you can feel good about. And Blue Land is trusted in over 1 million homes, including ours, so you don't have to just take it from us. I am obsessed with it.
I love their foaming hand soap.
Oh, yeah.
Blue Land has a special offer for our listeners. Right now, get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/gals. You won't want to miss this. Blueland.com/gals for 15% off. That's blueland.com/gals to get 15% off.
Y'all, a lot of us take supplements or, are reminded that we should. But why are so many supplement companies charging absurd prices for products that really are not that special? It's very frustrating. It's unacceptable. And that is why we want to introduce you to Live Good, a brand that is turning the supplement industry on its head.
They sure are. Live Good believes that everyone deserves access to high quality supplements without the markups. The markups, people.
The markups.
They offer premium products formulated by an industry-leading team of natural health experts, and they cut out the middleman to sell them to you at the lowest prices anywhere. I've mentioned the patches before, the sleep patches.
Yeah, for your sleep.
Oh, I'm almost out of them because I use them.
They're that good.
They're that good. And I'm such a light sleeper. These just help me fall asleep and stay asleep. And if you're, maybe self-medicating at night so that you can get a decent night's sleep,
this might be a good alternative.
This might be a great alternative. So super simple. I just take a patch, stick it on my ankle, and go to sleep and sleep for 8 hours straight.
Amazing.
It's been game changing for me. They also have organic super greens, multivitamins, collagen, weight loss products, protein powder, creatine, detox, hormone products, skincare products, all at the highest quality. All highest quality products at prices that people can actually afford. It's no wonder they're the fastest growing supplement brand on the planet with over 1.5 million customers and counting.
So are you ready to make the switch and start saving? We'll make it even easier for you. Use our link and you can save an additional 10% on your first order on top of the already lowest prices. Just go to livegood.com/gals to save 10% on your first order. That's livegood.com/gals. Don't miss out on this opportunity to invest in your health without overspending. Okay, welcome back, everybody. And Lucy, what is our background and psych and whatever you're going to throw at us for Lavender Crimes?
It'd be nice as a lavender flavor? One of these.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice. I just realized my husband has been doing work in my office, so it's a disaster. And he moved my wine rack. And
Look how dusty
yeah,
it
they
is.
cut into drywall. So like everything is covered in dust right now and it looks insane. So I promise
Look like
those
you're in
are-
a haunted castle.
Yeah, it's giving haunted castle. It's not usually this dusty, but they're not done. So I'm
It's
just not
giving
gonna bother.
Nosferatu.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Okay, lavender is many things.
Yes.
It is a popular Yankee candle. As a color, it's like a light dusty purple. And obviously, it is named after the herb Lavandula angustifolia or Lavandula officinalis.
I think I'm going to plant lavender this year.
You can.
Yeah. I sure can.
It'll grow in our zone.
Yeah, I have Russian sage and I have a lot of catgrass, but I don't have lavender and I want to do that.
That'll just be a natural, like, air freshener for, the outdoors.
Catgrass and the sage do smell really nice. Catgrass is in the mint family.
Oh, yes, I did know that. The name lavender comes from the Latin root lavare, which means to wash. So lavender may have earned this name because it was frequently used in baths to help purify the body and the spirit.
Makes sense.
From Mount Sinai, quote, lavender is native to the mountainous zones of the Mediterranean, where it grows where it grows in sunny, stony habitats. You mentioned the minerality
Of
the
the
rocky. Today, it flourishes throughout southern Europe, Australia, and the United States. Lavender is a heavily branched, short shrub. I feel that grows to the height of roughly 24 inches or 60 centimeters. Its broad rootstock bears woody branches with upright, rod-like, leafy green shoots. It's not that cute unless it's blooming with
Yeah.
its pretty flowers.
But it is really beautiful when it's blooming. And
Totally.
the leaves are also fragrant.
Super fragrant. Yeah.
So it's like, obviously it's the most fragrant when it's in bloom, but it does smell really nice, like throughout all those stages of growth.
You can use either the flowers or the roots, or sorry, the stems or the leaves. Like every part of it has
That signature
good
scent.
properties. A silvery down covers the gray-green narrow leaves, which are oblong and tapered, attached directly at the base and curled spirally. The oil in lavender's small blue-violet flowers give the herb its fragrant scent. The flowers are arranged in spirals of 6 to 10 blossoms, forming interrupted spikes above the foliage. They're beautiful.
So gorgeous. This is making me excited for spring. Also, it's 45 degrees today, which is really creeping me out because we had a polar vortex just lift like 2 days ago. Anyway, I'm fine. This is fine.
The temperature went up like, I want to say 35 degrees in a 24-hour period.
And I know it's February as this episode comes out, but it is January as we're recording it. So it would be weird in February, but it's very weird in January. Not loving it.
Well, as this episode is both recorded and released, the planet is dying.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, good. All right. Maybe I should be drinking. In holistic circles, lavender is used extensively as an essential oil to promote calm and balance and to support sleep due to its calming scent. It can also be used as an extract, so in like teas or tinctures, or in the form of the herb itself, like I said, the leaves, the stem, all that stuff. But it's not just crunchy granola beliefs in lavender's medicinal benefits. Oh, no. Several scientific studies have found similar results.
Ooh, I
In
love
fact-
a scientifically backed holistic method.
The science about lavender is pretty extensive. Like, I was kind of shocked.
Cool.
So, a 2019 NIH RIP study suggests lavender can improve your body's natural melatonin levels,
Oh, it's good for
promoting
sleep.
the sleep, the calm, etc.
Oh, that makes sense for like teas that have chamomile and lavender in them.
Additionally, and this is mostly according to Cleveland Clinic, lavender can calm anxiety and depression due to levels of a compound called linalool. Linalool. Cute name.
Very cute. We definitely are pronouncing it exactly right. So
yes, I don't question myself, and neither should you. A 2023 study showed that people felt less anxiety before going through an MRI after inhaling lavender therapy for like a certain amount of time.
Interesting.
Lavender can reduce inflammation by its flavonoids.
Ooh.
A 2012 study suggested that inhaling lavender essential oil for 15 minutes can help reduce migraine headache pain.
Oh, wow. Good to know.
Yeah. It can also reduce menstrual pain. Hallelujah.
What?
In a 2016 study, women who smelled lavender for 30 minutes a day during the first 3 days of their period reported less pain after like 2 cycles, like 2 months.
Interesting.
I thought it was cool that it seems to like stick with you. It's not like, oh, I'm smelling it now, so my body will relax now. It's like smelling it now, so my body learns to fucking chill.
Well, if you menstruate, add it to your kit, your toolkit.
Yeah. It can also, it was shown to reduce colic in infants. So like specifically how long they cry for.
Yeah.
If they're exposed to like lavender aromatherapy,
that makes sense since it can help with pain management and be soothing, like actually calming and help with sleep. That's like all the things that a colicky baby needs.
All of these things are very much tied together, but just like the applications were surprising to me. Apparently can also help with alopecia, eczema, acne, and fungal infections.
What? I don't feel like I really see it. Maybe I got to pay more attention to labels. I feel like I don't see that much lavender in skincare like that.
I think that a lot of the skincare that we consume has an awful lot of synthetic chemicals in it.
True.
If you were to look at some
and
more
acids
natural
and oils and
if you were to go to like a more of like a health natural foods place,
they'd probably have. Yeah, I bet like the Seward Co-op health and wellness aisle has lavender-based skincare. I'm going to check the next time I'm there because I'm curious.
You should.
I'm curious.
So clearly there are benefits, but lavender can be a little bit dangerous too.
Toxicity?
Well, yes, for one thing, it can be toxic if you ingest lavender oil orally. Also, like, it might be hard to like measure how much you're ingesting.
Yeah.
You
Don't
can
be
also
crushing straight up lavender oil.
No. You can also be already or become allergic to it. And kind of just like everything, maybe just
everything in moderation.
Consult a physician before you try something new. You know what I mean? In the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, a study showed that lavender products can be associated with premature thalarchy and prepubertal gynecomastia. Want to guess what that is?
Well, prepubical gynecomastia sounds like an excessive like hormone that makes you start like developing before you've entered puberty. But I don't know what the fuck the other thing was that you said.
Well, I don't know what thalarchy is, but menarche is your first period.
Okay.
Because menopause is at the end, menarche is at the beginning. That's what I remember from 6th grade health class. Nothing that I've researched before today.
So I wondered then, does an excess of lavender like promote that hormone production, and that's why this happens?
So this study doesn't explain exactly what happened or exactly how this happened, but
chemistry occurs.
It does say, quote, 3 prepubertal girls, pubescent girls, and 1 boy with clinical evidence of estrogenic action and a history of continuous exposure to lavender-containing fragrances were studied.
So it specifically triggers like an estrogen response. So people who have estrogen in their system are more at risk of the effects.
It's specifically breast growth.
Yeah. Interesting.
So,
I guess, teen girls, if you want bigger boobs, huff lavender.
Huff lavender.
I mean, are you there, God? Is it me? Margaret did not teach us that.
We must increase our bust. I did that for a long time.
Girl, same.
Yeah.
I did all the exercises. There were also like squats you could do that would allegedly help you get your period. Honey, they don't. But I tried.
I was also under the impression that like belts were still in use because I read that book long before I had my period. It was like, I don't want to wear a belt.
Hell no.
A menstrual belt. That book
belt
needs to be retired. I loved it, but it should probably be updated or at least like annotated to not fucking freak out.
Don't freak out
today.
Don't freak out, young one.
No belts, baby. No belts.
It's going to be okay.
Okay, so the breast growth dissipated in all patients with the discontinuation of the fragranced products. Some of the components tested elicited estrogenic and anti-androgenic properties of varying degrees. So anti-androgenic would, to me, means anti-male hormones. So like estrogenic, more female hormones, antigenic, fewer male hormones. And again, of course, we're talking about binary, all that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, so that's kind of fascinating.
That is
and
fascinating.
Of course, if they only studied 4 individuals, this isn't an enormous sample size, but who knows?
But it is definitely an interesting effect.
Back to drinking, like ingesting orally lavender essential oils or like any essential oils. This can damage your mucosa, which is, it's the lining, it's your throat, tongue lining of your soft palate.
Yeah.
So just be careful. Be smart. Don't be dumb.
Yep.
Lavender as a color has long had certain connotations as well, being associated with the LGBTQIA plus community. So I wanted to dig into that because I have a pseudo case for us today.
Okay.
But it stems from this idea of lavender being associated with
the queer community.
The queer community. So this is from CNN. In Western culture, it started life as a color of desire thanks to the lyric genius of 7th century BC poet Sappho.
Ooh, Sappho.
You know the word sapphic?
Yeah, that's from this poet.
This poet was a lesbian.
Hell yeah, Quinn.
So Sappho, so the 7th century BC poet Sappho, whose papyrus fragments told of her erotic predilections for younger women with, quote, violet tiaras.
How young are we talking? Problematic young or just
I didn't read
young?
The papyrus fragments.
Why not? I thought you had them at your bedside. They're your favorite.
I neither read nor translated them.
We're just going to take it as a product of its time and not make any assumptions.
No.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yes. Poets, you know?
Yeah.
So fast forward a few centuries, and in the 1920s, violets were still drawing together members of the lesbian community who gifted the delicate flowers as an expression of sapphic interest.
Ooh.
Are you gay? Because I'm gay and I think you're cute.
Here's some lavender.
Here's some violets. Got a little lavender shoes on, too. Really drive the point home. Subtleties in people's fashion, therefore, were quite important to identify one's community, and this reached a new popularity in the mid-19th century. So something I want to note here is we're talking about mid-19th century and how the color purple/lavender played a role in queer fashion specifically. This is just so cool, and the way that this happened and when this happened was so fucking timely and perfect. It's just like,
yeah,
it's one of those things in both science and just like capitalism, industry.
Fashion is political,
culture.
Y'all. Like, fashion has played a deep role across like every culture that has ever graced the planet.
Mm-hmm. But the timing of this in particular was just so fucking cool. So here's the little story. Purple was the very first color of synthetic dye, and it was invented by accident in 1856, so the mid-19th century, by 18-year-old chemistry student William Henry Perkin.
Okay.
So he was like kind of a nerd brown noser, and he was trying to impress his professor by making a substitute of quinine, which was at the time used to treat malaria. I mean, it's still used to treat malaria.
Yep.
But back then, is it quinine or quinine? I think it's quinine.
It's tomato.
I'm gonna say
Go
quinine.
with what feels right.
At the time, quinine was made from the bark of exotic trees, and therefore it was very expensive. So he was like, "Why? If I can take these different similar components, replicate it with stuff that we already have in plenty,
it'll be easier to treat,
and I'll get an A for the semester.
And I'll get an A this semester."
So he
most
took
importantly.
So he took coal tar, which was the discarded sludge from the gas lamps that they used in the Victorian era. It was just the byproduct of the gas that they burned.
So I'm sure they had it aplenty. It's a prevalent waste product.
Aplenty.
Yeah.
Mix it with some other shit, and what resulted was just this black goo.
Okay.
So he's like, well, that didn't work.
That looks fucking disgusting.
Gonna clean this up and try something new. So he tried to clean it up, but when he did, it left a gorgeous purple stain on like the cloth fabric that he was using.
Luck.
And it didn't come off. So he's like, this is a dye. I just created a synthetic dye. The first synthetic dye.
That's fucking wild.
At the time, the color purple, as I mentioned, was very en vogue, not just for like queer, subversive,
but it was new.
Wink, wink. Well,
I guess the dye was new, but people were still familiar with the color.
They knew the color, but it was really, really expensive because it was extracted from various natural sources. So, for example,
only the elite are wearing lavender-colored fabrics.
It was really expensive. So, for example, they got some purple dye from a type of shellfish that grew in very specific places in the Mediterranean.
Oh, dear. Okay. Yep.
And like different like flowers and plant materials and things like that. But so therefore it was not only expensive, but your color options were really limited to what those could produce.
Yeah, you're at the mercy of this natural product. So you're not going to be able to even replicate necessarily the same color consistently.
Exactly.
Damn.
So him inventing this synthetic dye was big time.
That's huge for the fashion industry.
We'll get to it. So he named his dye Perkins Mauve.
Perky Mauve.
Perky Mauve. He is credited for founding science-based industry, not only completely revolutionizing the fashion industry, but like this industry brought forward new paints, pigments, and dyes into the world, but ultimately it was responsible for major innovations such as synthetic rubber, fibers such as nylon and polyester, and miracle drugs such as penicillin.
Yeah, that's pretty spectacular. And
isn't that amazing?
The impact of synthetic rubber is also so massive because there was so much colonization and slavery of like specifically places in Africa that had rubber trees in abundance. Yeah. And so that like really changes the game on how we're sourcing that product.
Yeah. Same with the shellfish from the Mediterranean. I mean, like this can be applied to
so many things.
Like everything. Like pretty much everything. So that blew my mind.
That's wild. The impact of an accident like that purpled my mind.
Yeah.
Is
just like, nuts. I fucked this up. Better clean up and start fresh. Try to wipe it away. Like, wow.
And you're just dazzled by this beautiful thing you accidentally made out of literal like oil lamp trash.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And this also, I mean, there was a whole, this was a longer article, and it went into things like, in terms of fashion, they would say like, so now it was affordable for like teachers in the Midwest to buy fabric that had these dyes, and they could make their own clothes or buy, clothes, and they would like look nice.
Yeah.
It changed everything. So, yeah. So that information came from a CNN article, but it was largely attributed to author Regina Lee Blazek, professor of business history at the University of Leeds and author of The Color Revolution.
Cool.
So shout out to Lee Blazek. Okay, back to the 19th century. Toward the end of the 19th century, the public began linking lavender with homosexuality. It wasn't so much a secret anymore. Aestheticism, which was a European arts movement, was founded, eschewing Victorian wholesomeness and the perceived ugliness of the industrial age in favor of beauty, passion, and art for art's sake.
Cool. I love that.
We love that. We appreciate it. At the time, it was seen as a little bit prissy.
Yeah.
Newspapers denounced aesthetic people as effeminate, and not the least of which was one of the prominent leaders of the movement, Oscar Wilde, who frequently reminisced about his, quote, purple hours spent with rent boys and provoked a moral scandal with the homoerotic themes in The Picture of Dorian Gray. God, I would love to have dinner with Oscar Wilde.
I know. That would be a fascinating conversation.
It'd be so fun. Truman Capote and Oscar Wilde.
Yeah. I did like that would be a top tier blunt rotation
in Tangier.
for sure.
Yeah.
Blunt
rotation.
That's like my favorite thing to see now in the comment section of, the internet is if there are like multiple people on a screen, say politicians that we are not happy with. Someone to comment just nightmare blunt rotation. It just makes me so happy because that's just so clear. It's like the vibe is so fucking off. Y'all are nasty and we don't want anything to do with you. So to get dream blunt rotation is like the highest of compliments, and nightmare blunt rotation is like the worst burn you could
Trump,
ever fucking get.
Elon Musk, fucking
JD Vance, nightmare blunt rotation.
Dan Balzerian.
I'd rather die. Die than pass a blunt with those motherfuckers. Hell no. I also would never like put my mouth on anything their mouth touched in a million fucking years. You could not pay me to do it. Those boys aren't clean.
No.
Like, I bet they brush their teeth like every other day. I bet Trump has to be like forced like a little toddler to brush his teeth.
Yeah.
You don't know what has been going on in that mouth. The bacteria, get out of here. No.
Ugh. Like, I know he's a germaphobe, but I can't picture that man taking care of himself.
No. He's not a real germaphobe. He shits his pants. He wears diapers and goes poopy doopy in like public places.
Well, he has, if not dentures, at least veneers. Oh, I saw a TikTok of this girl who's like, I know it's like scary and everything, but whenever I get like too stressed out about the state of the world, I imagine like those rich people going into their bunkers and they're down there for like 10 years and waiting for like whatever to happen, stop happening. And they're not bringing their dentists down there. So and veneers don't last that long. So they're going to come out with their little nubby ass stubby teeth.
Nasty teeth. To repopulate the world? Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
Fucking ick.
Gross little teeth. Okay.
They're ground down little teeth shards.
Yeah. So gross. Okay. So by the 1930s, the mainstream was, like I said, catching on to the lavender thing. And of course, that meant bigotry. Quote, gay men in America were taunted for possessing a dash or a streak of lavender, like that was the big insult. Thanks in large part to Abraham Lincoln's biographer, Carl Sandburg, who described one of the president's early male friendships as containing a, quote, streak of lavender, and spots soft as May violets.
Okay, so go off,
Great.
Abe Lincoln. Be gay, do crime. Who gives a fuck?
God, I want him to have been gay.
It's interesting too how prevalent the lavender, the kind of bigotrization, slurification of the lavender of it all stayed. Because I even remember when we were kids, if a guy wore like a purple or a pink shirt, that must have meant he was gay. And then we got introduced to the whole like metrosexual style, thanks to the first iteration of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, that kind of altered that perception that like caring about your fashion does not necessarily work as a sexuality marker. Like,
right.
People of all different sexual identities can just like the color fucking purple and like wear a nice shirt.
I remember so vividly, do you remember Blarley Blall?
Yes.
In 6th grade, maybe 7th. He came to school. He was the new kid at our school like halfway through the year.
Yep.
And he came in guns fucking blazing day one wearing a hot pink button-up shirt.
Sure did. And guess what?
Everyone
had a crush
talking
on him. He was popular like immediately.
Yeah.
So, be you, basically. Fucking be you, bitch.
But doing that in 6th or 7th grade, whenever it was like
bold.
Really bold.
It was that would have been bold in 1999/2000.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was like 2000.
He's always been a very confident person, which I admire and appreciate.
Yes. So Blarley Blall, if you're out there,
hats off to you.
You got cute kids.
Yeah.
At least, and I got one kid. Very cute. And your wife is really pretty. Okay. So during the McCarthy era, so it's like the 40s and 50s, there was state-sanctioned discrimination when President Eisenhower signed Executive Order 10450, which became part of a national witch hunt to purge homosexual men and women from the federal government.
And it's totally like, the playbook is so the same, because wasn't there a lot of crossover, aka using the fear of communism as a way to target homosexual communities, especially because there were so many accusations of communism in Hollywood and also among Jewish people. I mean, it was just this blanket, like, we're trying to tighten up the border and keep these bad communists out of here.
Yeah.
And
so the communist aspect was the Red Scare.
Yeah.
The gay aspect was dubbed the Lavender Scare.
And it's just it was all connected under the umbrella of this fucking government falsehood. It's like, we're out here trying to scour America for these wrongdoers, and they're just rounding up everybody that doesn't align with their value system and
it's the exact same fucking thing that's happening today. Except instead of communists and gay people, it's trans people and Latino people.
That's, and consistently to Black, brown, queer communities throughout, since before this time and throughout.
That's
It's just more blatant now.
Yeah.
It's obvious, but it's always been fucking happening. It's nuts.
So this suffocating climate of fear and suspicion subsequently led to around 5,000 federal agency employees losing their jobs on the basis of their sexuality.
DEI firings.
And by the way, related, it wasn't until 1998 that Bill Clinton signed an executive order prohibiting employment discrimination based on sexual orientation. So
literally while we were in
some years late.
middle
That's
school.
Okay. Yeah.
That was
50 years late. By the late 1960s, however, the gays were taking their color back. Damn it. Lavender was being used to symbolize empowerment. So they gave out lavender sashes and armbands to crowds of hundreds of people in a, quote, gay power march from Washington Square Park to Stonewall in New York to commemorate the Stonewall riots that had taken place just a month prior. This was in 1969. That same year, now the National Organization for Women, President Betty Friedan publicly claimed that outspoken lesbians in the organization were a threat to the feminist movement.
Okay.
They're distracting. And why do they need to be feminists if they're not involved with men anyway? That was her quote unquote point. So she called these lesbians the Lavender Menace.
Okay, that is fucking awesome. Why are there not like 50 famous drag queens or drag kings or queer performers called the Lavender Menace?
Well, don't worry.
Amazing.
They made their own club.
Hell yeah.
So she was criticized for this remark, rightfully so, including by Susan Brown Miller, a straight woman feminist and a theorist about rape and later pornography, who wrote an article in Time magazine that there was, quote, a lavender herring, perhaps, but no clear and present danger. So instead of like a red herring,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lavender herring. But this like further incensed the lesbians because they're like, you're downplaying.
Yeah.
You're minimizing
the impact of what this is having on our community. You fucking Karen. You turf turd.
Whether you're calling us a menace or just a herring, both of them are really insulting.
A minimal threat.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
So, of course, backlash ensued, and those lesbians were not going to let a badass nickname like the Lavender Menace just slip through their fingers.
Thank
God.
No. It's too good.
So a group of Freudian dissenters adopted it, made shirts.
Yes.
Fully interrupted like a now Congress meeting.
Hell yeah.
And within a couple of years, now officially included lesbian rights among its policies, which eventually became one of their 6 like cornerstone key issues to address. Cool. The Lavender Menace.
I love the Lavender Menace.
I love that they made shirts.
Yeah. When it wasn't as easy as just going onto Bonfire.
No, I think they like hand dyed purple shirts and like, yeah.
Yeah, they did it themselves. I love it.
I know.
We're going to craft resistance. Fuck yes.
Yes. That's what I love about TikTok. Crafting resistance.
Crafting resistance.
Okay, so this is sort of, it's not really a case, but this is kind of the meat and taters of my segment today. Mm-hmm. There is a term called lavender marriage that you may have heard of. So this is a conventional binary male-female marriage, but one or both of the partners is queer, basically. And this was intended to conceal the socially stigmatized sexual orientation of one or both partners. From Wikipedia, quote, the term dates from the early 20th century and is used almost exclusively to characterize certain marriages of public celebrities in the first half of the 20th century, primarily before World War II, when public attitudes made it impossible for a person acknowledging homosexuality to pursue a public career, notably in the Hollywood film industry.
So yeah, this would have been tabloid fodder. Claims that so-and-so and so-and-so of Hollywood are in a lavender marriage. One of them is gay.
And now no one's getting any more work.
Yep.
One of the earliest uses of the phrase appeared in the British press in 1895 at a time when the color lavender was associated with homosexuality, which we've covered. And who could blame them? Because that you're gay. I mean, even today, but particularly back then, early 20th century, you're out as gay. You're not getting a job in Hollywood.
No. And I mean, obviously through a current context, this is very much still happening, more so for people to have access to specific rights, tax breaks, privileges that married people have, protections that married people have, that aren't just about your job. That's like how you are
disability.
Categorized by the federal government. Like lavender marriages are still very much a thing. And, I don't know what the term would be, but there are other types of marriages like that aren't necessarily connected to your sexual orientation, but disability and, survival to have access to somebody's healthcare that you couldn't otherwise have access to. Like we still need these kinds of social contracts.
We'll get to it.
It's sad.
It's very sad. So, as mentioned, the film industry was particularly cruel to gay people because a lot of the contracts had morality clauses. And we talked about this in our Hollywood Crimes. We've talked about this before. So these morality clauses, they basically allowed the studios to just not pay the actors if they didn't act appropriately. And that included if they didn't act heterosexually.
Okay.
So a prime example of this is Rock Hudson, an exceedingly handsome actor who is well known as a prominent figure in the golden age of Hollywood. So Rock Hudson was born Roy Harold Shearer Jr. on November 17th, Scorpio, 1925 in Winnetka, Illinois.
Okay.
I don't know if it was like this wealthy back then, but Winnetka is a wealthy fucking suburb and it is beautiful.
Is it near Chicago?
Yeah, it's just north of Chicago.
Got it.
That's where our old friend Barron came from. Blaren.
Oh, okay.
So Hudson's dad ditched the family during the Great Depression. His mom was remarried to a complete asshole who I think like abused Rock.
Oh, God.
Then they divorced. In high school, he tried out for different school plays, but he never landed a role because he could not remember his lines.
Oh, sweet boy.
Yeah, that was a problem like throughout his career,
Yeah.
his 30-year career. He joined the military and then moved to LA to live with his biological dad and try his hand at acting. In 1947, he sent his headshot to a talent scout named Henry Wilson, who later became his manager. And Henry Wilson, it seems like, got his headshot in the mail, called him, was like, "Your name is now Rock Hudson. Get to my office and get to work."
Roy Harold Shearer Jr. is not going to be rolling off the tongue. We're going with Rock Hudson.
So he named him that after the Rock of Gibraltar and the Hudson River.
Okay.
His two favorite vacation destinations.
Weird.
In 1948, Hudson made his acting debut with a small part in the Warner Brothers film Fighter Squadron, directed by Raoul Walsh. According to one source, it took 38 takes for Hudson to successfully deliver his only line in the film.
Oh, I wonder if he had like
couldn't remember
dyslexia or some other learning disability that made it
Super
challenging.
fucking possible.
Yeah, for him to
dare say likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just undiagnosed, untreated, and sitting with probably so much anxiety and potential shame over it because they just
And he
didn't
just
know.
wants to be an actor.
Yeah. Sad.
So he did a bunch of film work in the 1950s, mostly because he was just really fucking pretty. There's pictures of him on the drive.
Yeah,
He's
Rock
just
Hudson was a fucking heartthrob. I mean, stunningly gorgeous.
6'4".
Come on.
Yeah. Oh, he's great.
Ugh.
Sorry, I'm opening up my pictures.
Yeah,
There
he's
is-
so hot.
He's so cute. That picture of him in his like swimsuit with that other dude in a swimsuit.
Get out of here. Yeah, dream blunt rotation.
Totally.
Just two absolutely cut gays on a cliff in front of an ocean. Let's fucking go.
They are
Pass the Dutch.
cut. And the picture of him like reclining on the shed, like the poolside chaise with Doris Day
Yeah,
drinking
get the
like a
fuck
rum
out
and
of here.
coke.
I know. Like, come on. That's your dream. That's if you could picture Lucy's heaven. She's sitting between Rock Hudson and Doris Day with an ice cold rum and coke.
I think I'd be sitting between Rock Hudson and whoever that other dude is in that other picture.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Doris Day would be fun, but I want the boys.
Yeah. Give me the, we're here for the buzz.
I'm here for the buzz. Okay, so did a lot of film work throughout the 50s, and then in the 60s, he was the leading man in a bunch of romantic comedies, including Pillow Talk with Doris Day, in which he pretends to be a gay man, but is actually straight.
Hey, it's the part he was born to play, baby.
Well, it's the opposite.
I know.
Yeah. But he says, he has a line in the movie, which I'm sure he didn't have that much trouble remembering, that was like, "I don't know how much longer I can keep this up."
Yeah. Poor bastard.
I know. Okay, so this is from Wikipedia. In 1955, Confidential magazine, which you know was like check out Register Lane tabloid, threatened to publish an expose about Hudson's secret homosexuality.
Okay, TMZ.
Yeah, Wilson stalled this, so his agent stalled this by disclosing information about two of his other clients.
I'll throw them under the bus.
Well, at least he didn't, out them.
Sure, but still.
I know. He provided information about Rory Calhoun's years in prison and also the arrest of Tab Hunter at a party in 1950.
Still shitty behavior. I know that Rock was that's the money maker. So he's going to protect him at all costs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think they were also just friends at that point.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I don't know. I do think that he had something to do with the representation of Tab Hunter as well. Mm-hmm. And maybe Rory Calhoun. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, he said his other clients. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. According to some colleagues, Hudson's homosexual activities were well known in Hollywood throughout his career, and former co-stars Julie Andrews, Mia Farrow, Elizabeth Taylor, and Susan St. James claimed that they knew of his homosexuality and kept Hudson's secret for him.
Yeah, girls.
As did friends Audrey Hepburn and Carol Burnett. Mm-hmm. All women.
Yeah.
All women.
We're
not going to throw someone else under the bus.
Mm-hmm. Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson. I mean, again, another time. Mm-hmm. But don't. You can trust your girlies. Mm-hmm. Also, that list of actresses.
I know. Just my friends, Audrey Hepburn, Carol
Burnett, Mia
Liz
Farrow,
Taylor, Julie fucking Andrews.
I'm not sure who Susan St. James is, but I'm going to Google her. I bet I'll recognize her.
Yeah, I don't know why. I know her name is popping in my head. I don't know why her face isn't popping in my head.
She has a monologue called Marriage and Breasts. Oh, she was on SNL. Okay, there we go. Yeah. I recognize her. Anyway, cool group of girls. So the confidential threat spooked both Hudson and Wilson, so Hudson married a woman named Phyllis Gates, who was conveniently Wilson's secretary.
Oh.
And also from Dawson, Minnesota.
Oh my gosh. A Dawson girl.
She's a Dawson girl. Phyllis would insist until her death that the marriage was legitimate, that he was the love of her life, although she divorced him just 3 years after their marriage, citing, quote, mental cruelty.
Ooh.
Another source I read said that she found out that he cheated on her while he was in Italy, I think, filming for a movie. And that was bad enough, but then she found out that it was with a man. Okay, so she didn't enter into the Lavender marriage with informed consent. She didn't know that he was gay. That's what she says. Okay. But, well, let me, I'm just going to read this next part. Okay. He did not contest the divorce, and she was granted alimony of $250 a week for 10 years. She never remarried. It's been reported that Phyllis did indeed know about Hudson's homosexuality and that she herself was a lesbian. Okay. And sort of the unspoken or at least unpublicized agreement was, I won't rat on you. You don't rat on me. You take care of me because you're making all the money. You do whatever you want to do. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. But then another source was she said that she would do whatever she wanted to do with other women, but he was not allowed to step out with other men. Okay. So there was boundaries, something. And he crossed set boundaries. Yeah. I mean, who knows what's true and what's not true, but it was in her best interest not to out him so that he wouldn't lose his job, so that he would continue to make money for both of them. But, they did get divorced. There was also a rumor that Rock Hudson married Jim Nabors. I know you have a Jim Nabors vinyl. Yeah. He was also Gomer Pyle. Gomer Pyle! Mm-hmm. Whoa. But that was a rumor. We don't have, a marriage license to confirm that. Well, first of all, it was illegal for two men to get married in the U.S. They might have had some sort of, commitment ceremony. Maybe, but there is really nothing to suggest that these two were anything more than friends. And unfortunately, the rumor became so pervasive in the 1970s that they just quit speaking to each other because it wasn't worth it for either one of them. That's awful. I know. Leave everybody the fuck alone. Mind your own fucking business. Mind your own fucking business. So it sounds like he lost friends. A good friend because people were like, they're gay. Yeah, yeah. So Hudson was diagnosed with AIDS in 1984, and that was not disclosed to the public for over a year. When it was disclosed, he became one of the first mainstream celebrities to do so. He passed away in his sleep on the morning of October 2nd, 1985 from AIDS-related complications. He was only 59 years old.
It's pretty powerful that he was willing to go public with his diagnosis in the 80s. I mean, that was a really hard
We don't
time.
think that it was his decision. So while his premature death was tragic, much of the surrounding discussion gave Americans a new view of the disease. So like he kind of gave it a face. And because a lot of these people grew up in the 50s and 60s, like a lot of the American public grew up knowing who Brock Hudson was.
Right.
Because aside from his movies, then he graduated into like soap operas and TV shows.
Yep. Yeah.
Like he was a big part of movies and television for decades.
Yeah, he had a very prominent career.
Yeah. So shortly after his death, people reported since Hudson made his announcement, more than $1.8 million in private contributions, which was more than double the amount collected in 1984, has been raised to support AIDS research and to care for AIDS victims.
Wow.
A few days after Hudson died, Congress set aside $221 million to develop a cure for AIDS.
There
of
you
course,
go.
Not everything was sunshine and roses. It was the Reagan administration.
Yeah.
Apparently, Hudson and Reagan and Nancy were all like friends, but Reagan did not say anything publicly to even acknowledge his death because it was from AIDS.
Yeah, of course. Reagan's a cuck.
Yeah.
Fuck
But then
that cuck.
after his death, there have been like biographers and other report and like friends of his that were like, that was his secret. That was his truth to keep, that he was a gay man.
Right. It's
and
none of our
also
fucking
that
business.
he had AIDS. And unfortunately, those two concepts are inextricably linked at this point in time. And yes, he did inspire people and like change the public perception of AIDS in a really meaningful way. But
that wasn't his choice.
That
wasn't like him wanting to take on that mantle of activism. He was forced into it, and then he rose to the occasion.
He was also like,
which is honestly just as honorable, because you don't owe anybody your the publication of your private life. You don't.
and he was not trying to be an activist.
No.
Like I think he was like a Republican. He was fairly conservative. He didn't have, that was his business.
But honestly, all the more powerful a face to have when he was at least publicly perceived, whether he aligned with those old school Republican values entirely or not, we don't know. But he was at least publicly perceived in that way. And then to have someone in that position be like, actually, I'm gay, and also I have AIDS, and y'all made it public, so I'm going to fucking talk about it. Like, it's not just this subset of the community that struggles with all of this. It's, there are certainly people sitting at your table that you didn't know were gay. You didn't know I was fucking gay for all these years I've been on your TV and movie screen.
Yeah. So powerful and meaningful, but we also have to sort of consider that wasn't exactly what he wanted. So to your point, which you were talking about earlier, Gen Z is utilizing marriage to, not just Gen Z, but making it more popular to utilize marriage to help get out of crippling debt, cope with rising costs of literally everything, and to provide stability, whether that's financial, emotional, whatever, in an increasingly unstable time and place. So I think that the concept of a lavender marriage, which is like, I don't want to say a marriage of convenience, but like marriage of mutual
benefit and safety in some way.
Yeah, that's still around. And whether or not it's about hiding a sexual preference or like almost like in spite of sexual preference. That's kind of how we're going in the US, at least. And certainly in other parts of the world, I'm confident that lavender marriages for the purpose of hiding sexual preference is still a thing.
I think that's the only way I would get married again. Like if Bill died,
To hide your sexual preference?
No, because I don't do that now. But no, if Bill died, because there's no world in which I will imagine we would ever get divorced. I don't think I'd ever want to like do the whole exhausting romantic marriage. But once you're in the romantic marriage, it's great. The path to that is long and grueling, and I just don't want to fucking date. But I would marry my friends in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. And we just like get a cute house together and decorate it exactly however we want and have our friends over all the time and play video games
It's just
and have
having a
sex with
roommate.
whoever we want.
It's having a roommate. It's glorious. But like you're
better.
legally bound to each other. You can share your
Get the tax write-off.
health benefits. Yeah.
Yeah. I would do that so fucking fast. So fast. So line forms to the left, ladies. Let's go.
So that is my background. Little bit of psych, tiny little case on Lavender Crimes.
Well done.
I am so sorry to Shannon Welsh that we didn't get into the south of France stuff because I was mentally there. Didn't have time or space to get to it.
We touched on it. We touched
on it. The rocky terroir.
Yeah, come on. Viticultural regions that are great for both the vine and the lavender herb alike.
Rosé all day, monasteries.
Fleur de Mer.
The papal move to Avignon. Didn't get there.
Well,
we'll have a papacy crimes episode.
Oh, yes.
I'm putting it on the calendar right now.
Oh my God. Okay, well, while you're putting that on the calendar, let's take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors.
Let's dive.
This episode of Wine and Crime is brought to you by Wild Grain. Y'all know I love Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for artisanal breads, pastries, and pastas. Wild Grain's boxes are fully customizable to your taste and dietary restrictions. In addition to their classic variety box, they recently launched a new gluten-free box, a plant-based box that's 100% vegan, and best of all, they take the hassle out of baking since all items bake from frozen in 25 minutes or less with no mess or cleanup. Listen, I follow so many of the sourdough girlies on all of the social medias, and what they do looks
Your
amazing.
mothers.
And guess what? I'm never going to do it, okay? I'm never going to do it. And Wild Grain has bridged that gap between the work that I know I'm not going to invest in and the result of incredible sourdough bread. In 25 minutes, instead of like months of feeding your mother, you can just pull this out of the freezer and have a perfect sourdough loaf in 25 minutes. I'm obsessed with it.
I had a craving for chocolate chip cookies yesterday morning at 10 a.m. So guess what I did? I pulled some cookies, some wild grain chocolate chip cookies out of my freezer, baked them, and then I had cookies.
Honestly, Wild Grain has saved me so many times when I'm like between grocery runs and I don't have a ton of staples in my fridge, and I can open my freezer and I've got fresh pastas. I've got a beautiful loaf of focaccia, and all I have to do is make some sauce. Like, hi, that is magic dinner in half an hour or less. So honestly, Wild Grain can make your weekly, daily, monthly meals so much easier and just elevate them this year. Do not miss out. It's incredible.
Are you ready to bring all your favorite carbs right to your doorstep? Be sure to check out Wild Grain so you can begin building your own box of artisanal breads, pastas, and pastries. For a limited time, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off the first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/gals to start your subscription. You heard me, free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/gals. That's wildgrain.com/gals, or you can use promo code gals at checkout.
In the last few months, I have noticed I am entering into perimenopause.
Congratulations.
Babies. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And one of the places that I have really seen these changes show up is my skin. Let's just say a lot of meetings with the camera off. have been common.
I haven't seen you in months.
Seriously, because I'm getting more breakouts and I just have to be more, intentional about how I'm caring for my skin as my skin and my body changes. And feeling confident and good in your skin starts with getting expert care. And that's why we're super excited to partner with Apostrophe. So whether you're dealing with acne, signs of aging, dark spots, really anything you can think of, Apostrophe helps you get access to the right treatments for your skin.
Apostrophe is an online platform that connects you with an expert dermatology team to get customized acne and dermatology treatment for your unique skin. Listen, every time I thought about I would really like to change this about my skin, going to a dermatologist has never previously been even on my radar. It just seemed like a very elite, expensive, luxurious thing to do.
Yeah, it's not always an accessible choice.
No, it's not. But through Apostrophe, you can get access to oral and topical medications that use clinically proven ingredients to help clear acne. You simply fill out an online consultation about your skin goals and medical history. Then you snap a few selfies and a dermatology provider will create a customized treatment plan just for you very quickly. Apostrophe offers access to prescription treatments for all types of acne. That's from hormonal acne to facial acne, even acne all over the bod.
Yeah.
Head to toe.
Talk about perimenopausal changes. Hello, chest acne. Where did you come from? I've never had that in my life.
It's like you're going through puberty all over again.
In your almost 40s. Yeah, it's wild.
The process is so incredibly simple. I heard from a dermatologist expert within a couple of days, I believe, and I had the product so quickly. I put it on every night before bed, and I really do see a difference in my skin texture. I mean, I look pretty good.
You really do. And we have a special deal for our audience. You can get your first visit for only $5 at apostrophe.com/wine when you use our code WINE. That's a savings of $15. This code is only available to our listeners. So to get started, just go to apostrophe.com/wine and click get started. Then use our code WINE at sign up and you'll get your first visit for only $5. And thank you, Apostrophe, for sponsoring this episode.
Okay, here's another gross fact for you.
Oh, great.
Did you know that traditional bed sheets can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat?
I hate that.
So
thanks, I hate it.
This bacterial buildup can lead to acne, allergies, stuffy noses, plus it's just gross.
It's nasty.
Miracle Made offers a whole line of self-cleaning antibacterial bedding, such as sheets, pillowcases, and comforters that prevent up to 99.7% of bacteria growth and require up to 3 times less laundry. Music to my ears.
Truly, laundry is my least favorite chore. So self-cleaning sheets are what I'm here for. These sheets are infused with silver that, like Lucy said, prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. So no more nasty odors. Not my fave. I also, as you know, am a sweaty Betty when I sleep. I sleep kind of hot, and these are temperature regulating, and that provides a better quality sleep. So that same silver infused fabric, which is inspired by NASA, okay, women in STEM, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, no matter the weather, no matter what side of the pillow you're flipping. So you get better sleep every night. It's also designed for your skin. So like Lucy said, stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria clogs up your pores. It can cause breakouts and acne. You can sleep clean with Miracle, and they are so luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. And they feel as nice, honestly, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels that we've stayed in.
I get so excited when my Miracle sheets come up in my laundry rotation.
Yup.
I'm like, oh, I'm going to have several weeks
ready to
of
pop these bad boys back on the bed.
Nice sheets. So upgrade your sleep this year. Go to trymiracle.com/gals to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo GALS at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/gals and use code GALS to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/gals to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
Okay, shall we bring it home?
Let's bring it home, baby.
All right, I have been graced with Shannon's fan selection today, and it is a doozy. So let's just dive in. It also has nothing to do with the gays or the herbs of
We've
lavender.
had enough of the gays. We need a palate cleanse.
I could never get enough of the gays.
Literally no, especially not Rock Hudson kind of gays.
The limit does not exist. Okay. But yeah, this is just in a totally different direction from everything that we've talked about thus far. So, just, shift your gears here.
Okay.
So on October 29th, 2006, we were out of high school for just a year. The body of a young woman who, at the time, her age was unknown, but she was estimated to be between 17 and 25, was found in a wooded oil field area of Kilgore, Texas.
Ugh.
Kilgore.
I don't like that.
Y'all.
Kilroy.
Yeah. By two men who were out practicing shooting. So they were like doing shoot practice, setting up cans, things
doing hunt, shoot practice.
Hunt and shoot practice. Things that the straight men
in Texas
do. Quote, she had wood piled beneath her and wood piled on top of her, and there was, I believe, a gas can lid there. So it looked like somebody was trying to cover their tracks, said Lieutenant Eddie Hope, who worked on this case.
So, but she wasn't lit on fire.
Yes, she was.
Oh.
From The Atlantic, quote, the two men who saw her thought at first that they had stumbled across a mannequin set on fire, perhaps as an early Halloween prank. It's October 29th. It was the smell that alerted them to something more sinister in the woods, a smell like charred hot dogs.
Oh.
Yeah, that shocked me, so I needed to include it.
But I like that smell.
I know.
Oh, no.
I know. When they stepped closer, they realized the awful and obvious truth. A human being had been killed, then doused in gasoline and set on fire, and probably only minutes before, her body was still ablaze.
Oh.
End quote. So the state of the fire indicated that the two men had likely interrupted the killer, trying to destroy evidence.
As like an idiot.
Yeah, as the fire appeared to have just recently been lit, like it was just growing. And these two guys are like desperately trying to put it out, but it's also a crime scene.
Yeah.
But the killer must have run off at the sound of them in the woods. They're shooting, so they can be heard, and he scurried off.
But probably by then, I mean, if whoever killed her transported her body to that space, set up his little wood pile, and doused her and lit her on fire, that's a lot of work. He'd been
there a while.
He can't just take his whole operation and run away.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
So the girl who was burning had $40 in her pocket. So it wasn't like a robbery. An empty gas can was found at the scene, and her autopsy indicated that she had been raped with semen collected for evidence. Now, I tried to find her exact cause of death, but I could not find a definitive cause of death. And it sounds like, from what we'll kind of get to next with trying to identify her, that even though the fire had been burned quite recently, it was pretty big and pretty hot. And so a lot of evidence and forensics and things that could have helped us identify exactly how she had been killed were like compromised because of the fire. So they know that like the cause of death is just listed as like homicide. I'm not sure if she was like bludgeoned, strangled. She wasn't shot because they would have found a gunshot wound. But yeah,
she didn't put herself there and light herself on fire.
No, exactly. Little of her clothing survived the fire, but it was determined that she had been wearing a lavender sweater, which earned her the nickname Lavender Doe.
There we go.
despite Lavender Doe having all of her teeth like in very good condition, there were also reports that she had a couple of quote unquote baby teeth still left. And that was why they had thought she was a lot younger, but that was probably actually, we'll find out later, more a reflection of some stymied access to dental care. Like, if you have good dental health, your teeth can naturally like stay in pretty good shape, especially at a young age without a lot of dental intervention. But sometimes you'll have to have some baby teeth removed to make room for the bigger teeth that are like not able to grow behind them and push those baby teeth out. And then you can have baby teeth longer than you normally, quote unquote, would if you don't have access to dental care that would help you with that dissension of the adult teeth.
I had almost all of my baby teeth pulled.
I had at least 6 pulled.
I've had 24 total pulled, but some of those were adult teeth.
Oh, yeah.
My teeth were fucked. I'm not looking forward to June's orthodontics.
But all that to say, it just was another element of complication in identifying her, because when the teeth are in such good shape, you're like, oh, great, dental records. But this wasn't effective. And then they are trying to guess her age, and they're like, oh, she still has baby teeth. She could be as young as 13 in some reports. But then we'll find out later how old she actually was. So that kind of adjusts like how you're going to put together the composite sketch, where you're going to look, you know, for runaways, or was she an adult, or like it does have more wide-ranging impacts on the overall investigation if you can't keep those timelines like pretty tight.
Yeah.
So that was something
a ripple effect.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about until I was reading into this case. So comparison to dental records across missing persons files and beyond turned up absolutely nothing. Her face was in poor condition and composite sketches were a challenge. You can look on the drive. I have a couple that I think I labeled early composite sketch. The one on the left is a clay bust, and it's a little scary. And then the one on the right was an early composite that looks a little bit less ghoulish and terrifying, and I do think is pretty accurate based on what we know now about the victim. So they make the sketches, they're putting all of this out, but like nothing is pinging. And it's 2006, so we know at the time that we don't have access to like what was considered top of the line forensic analysis then has still come so far since. And even then, like, we knew that advances were in the works. And so people working on this case were like, okay, we're going to do the best we can, but we know this new technology is coming in the next few years. So hopefully we can just keep bringing this back and trying to create something that would be more accurate, because clearly these early composites were not ringing any bells for people. And this was like on, I think, either Unsolved Mysteries. Like, this case got a lot of attention. I mean, they found a young white girl in the woods who had been murdered. Like, this is exactly the kind of thing that's going to get media attention. And
with good teeth.
Yeah, and they invested in these composites, and people just were not, it wasn't pinging with like very many people at all. In 2014, so almost 10 years later, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children had her remains exhumed for further evidence collection, including a CT scan to get the most detailed structure of her face to put together an updated digital composite. So that's the one that says 2014. So you can kind of see the difference between the two. Again, that 2006 or 2007 one that's like against a Windows background, I think is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a similar nose and like eyebrow, forehead.
Yep. But the CT scan composite, the facial structure is really spot on. If you look at the one of the photos, that's not Daisy. But we'll get to it. So anyway, or sorry, not Daisy, Brandy, who we're about to get to. So this reconstruction got the attention of a mother of a missing woman, 23-year-old Brandy Wells, who had disappeared from a nightclub in nearby Longview, Texas in August of 2006, which would have been just 2 months before Lavender Doe's remains were found. So the timeline was there. She was like, this could be my daughter. The composite kind of looks like her. Unfortunately, even though investigators were so hopeful that this was her, DNA comparison determined that Lavender Doe was not Brandy Wells. They took DNA from her mom, who came forward and cross-checked it, and there were not any matches. Brandy is still missing. She was 23 when she disappeared, and I just wanted to share this bit from ncmissingpersons.com to make sure this information about Brandy is out there, because you never know who might be listening and somebody could know something. So Brandy was last seen in Longview, Texas on August 3rd, 2006. She planned to go to a pawn shop to get some money, but ended up going to Graham Central Station, a nightclub, instead. Wells is known to have arrived at the club at around 10:30 p.m. She was unfamiliar with the area where the club was located and had to call them several times to ask for directions. By the time she got there, her car was almost out of gasoline and she asked other customers for assistance, but it's unclear whether anyone offered to help her. She left alone shortly after midnight. She was not intoxicated at that time. Brandy's car was found 5 days later, parked westbound on Interstate 20 at Texas Highway 31, just outside of Longview, and 300 yards west of FM 2087. I don't know what that means. Inside were some of her personal belongings, including her wallet, purse, and her ex-boyfriend's cell phone, which wasn't working. It wasn't functional. There was no sign of Wells at the scene and no indications of a struggle, but the driver's seat was reportedly pushed back as if someone taller than Wells had driven it last.
Was it like out of gas because she didn't have gas?
I think so. So I think the assumption is when she was trying to maybe get some help to get gas, somebody took advantage of that opportunity and kidnapped her in her own car, and they drove and adjusted the seat. And then when the car ran out of gas, maybe took her to a different location. After Wells disappeared, there was some activity on her own cellular phone, which had disappeared with her. 3 people found the phone and used it. 3 separate people. All 3 individuals took a polygraph test. One of them, a man, failed the polygraph test. The man has not been publicly identified, and though he has been interviewed multiple times by police, he has not been called a suspect in Wells's case. At the time of her disappearance, Wells resided with a roommate in Brownsboro, Texas. She is a graduate of Chapel Hill High School, and in August of 2006 was looking forward to starting a new job at Walmart and starting classes at Trinity Valley Community College. She dreamed of a career as a kindergarten or first grade school teacher. Wells may have been taken against her will, and foul play is possible in her disappearance. Her case remains unsolved, and the investigating agency is the Longview Police Department. So if you have any information, there is a tip line that was set up by the Q Center, and you can call it at 910-343-1131. So I just wanted to put that out there in case, Brandy's case, it's still unsolved. We don't know where she is. So
that's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. So back to the case of Lavender Doe. Despite not having any significant leads into her identity, police did narrow down a suspect in 2007, so the year after she was murdered. A 36-year-old convicted sex offender, so he had already been in the system and was out at the time of her death, named Joseph Wayne Burnett, was identified as a suspect. He didn't know Lavender Doe's name and couldn't contribute to identifying her, but DNA did determine that the semen collected from Lavender Doe was a match to Joseph Burnett.
Oh, God. So they just ran it through the whole database, and because he had already been arrested and was then in prison?
I believe so. It wasn't clear to me if that's how that went down or if they picked him up on suspicion of being involved in this just because of his previous offenses and things that added up and them knowing he was in the area, because this is really common. You find a young girl who has been assaulted and you check the database and registry for that area. Mm-hmm. And so I think they brought him in for questioning, and he consented to a DNA test, and And he said that he had sex with a young woman that day, the day in question, whose name he didn't know, and then provided an alibi for the time of the murder. So they were like, we're pretty sure this is you. But they apparently didn't have enough. Like the semen alone wasn't enough to charge him because it is plausible.
Maybe they had consensual sex.
Exactly. It is certainly a possibility. It was not until 2018, so over 10 years later, when the remains of another woman were found that they would finally get a break in this case. The remains of Felicia Pearson, the live-in girlfriend of Joseph Burnett,
oh God,
were found in a wooded area that he had been known to kind of prowl around.
Was she lit on fire?
No, not that I saw. When they arrested him for her murder, as well as charges for not registering as a sex offender at his new address, he confessed to killing Felicia and confessed to killing Lavender Doe all those years ago. Burnett told investigators that he had met Lavender Doe at a Walmart where she had been selling magazines and didn't know her name, though he thought it might have been Ashley. He lured her into his car and took her to a remote location where he assaulted and murdered her. Now they had a confession, but they still didn't have the victim's identity. Burnett was sentenced to concurrent 50-year prison sentences for both murders and will be eligible for parole in 2043. And not me over here just hoping he fucking dies before that time comes, because this guy is a literal monster.
Yeah.
So they have a killer, and they have maybe a first name, Ashley, but investigators are still coming up empty on who this poor girl is. They can't find her.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like when I don't remember a girl's name, that my first thought is Ashley. No offense to all the Ashleys out there, but it's a lot of you.
I get it. So investigators are getting contacted by armchair investigators who are looking into this case. Like, as it had been cold for all these years, and then this arrest happened and kind of brought the case back into the spotlight. And then, Facebook groups and true crime buffs got into it and started like picking apart the case. So this is from oxygen.com. Quote, the case first came to the attention of Kevin Lord, a former software developer and t-shirt salesman from Killeen, Texas, who spent his free time online trying to match missing persons cases with unidentified victims. He stumbled upon the Lavender Doe case while looking into other Texas missing persons cases and reached out to Lieutenant Hope, the guy who had been an investigator on this case. Quote, I was impressed that people care because we live in a world where everything is fast-paced and a lot of people are worried about themselves and not others. Preach, Hope said. Before long, the unconventional pair began working together. We just flew together, Whatever he needed that he couldn't get, that I could get, law enforcement-wise, he would send to me, Hope said. In return, Lord could offer high-level computer skills that were not as easily accessible to the sheriff's department. But even with his computer prowess, Lord knew that he'd likely need help to solve Lavender Doe's identity and decided to join the DNA Doe project, where he connected with other volunteers, Lori Gaff and Missy Cossack. So the DNA Doe project is, again, like a volunteer nonprofit that... Here's what they do. So the DNA Doe project uses DNA from crime victims to create DNA profiles, which are then uploaded to public ancestry websites. Volunteers work to find distant relatives of the victim, which they can then use to work backward to build out a family tree.
Didn't we meet someone from DNA Doe at True Crime Podcast Festival in Denver?
I think we did.
Because someone was passing stuff out that was like, if you have baby teeth with your DNA, you can send in your teeth and then they can analyze that DNA and put it in their genealogy stuff.
Yeah, and obviously they work with labs, but like the majority of the people that work with the DNA Doe project are the volunteers who, after they get the results, can submit them and start working on the family trees. So
yeah, because that's
it
lot
would
of
not surprise
legwork.
me if somebody, certainly a volunteer with DNA Doe project, would have every reason to go to festivals like that for networking and hopefully solving some of these cases.
Yeah, I lost that card, but I know we've talked to somebody about this.
For sure.
Oh.
For sure. So after receiving Lavender Doe's DNA profile in October of 2018, the team got to work and soon found a distant relative of the victim who they believed was likely a cousin. Using that information, they were able to painstakingly create a family tree that led them to Dana Dodd.
Who's Dana Dodd?
Dana Dodd is Lavender Doe.
Oh.
Yeah. Quote, I wasn't prepared for the emotion that I had right then, Koski said, one of the volunteers who worked on this. I couldn't control myself. I remember sitting on the couch and just crying because I was so happy. But the emotion of all of this work, all these countless nights, working all day and all night and trying to figure this out, just all came together right then. Can you imagine?
No, especially when you're working on this and then like all of a fucking sudden you have an answer.
Yeah.
You don't even get the feeling like, oh, we're getting close. It's just like, oh my God, it's right there.
It's there. It's there. And you're a volunteer. And so you have your own job and life, and
it's 1 a.m. and you got to get up for work in 5 hours.
Yeah, and you're giving every minute you have to someone you've never met. I mean, I'm here for that kind of energy. Like, if we had more of that energy, the world would be a different place. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was pretty fucking cool.
It reminds me of, a lot of things, but I just got a flash of Don't Fuck with Cats. Mm-hmm. When they finally pieced all that together.
Yeah, and the internet fucked that dude up.
Yeah.
As well they should. Mm-hmm. So working backwards from this cousin, they were able to track down the identity of Lavender Doe. Her name is Dana Dodd, and she had a difficult life before, unfortunately, crossing paths with Joseph Burnett. She was all but abandoned by her father. Reports just said he was, quote, never involved. Her biological mother passed away when she was like 6 or 7. And she had been mostly surviving on her own with support from her half-siblings and their mother, who did all she could to step in and take care of her. So her half-sibling's mom, who is of no relation to Dana, is like referred to as her stepmother, even though she's not. It's like she wasn't married to her dad.
She didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, but
she's 6.
Yeah. This woman did the best she could.
Yeah.
But when she was 16, she kind of ran away with a boyfriend. She moved in with a live-in boyfriend. They tried to talk her out of it. They simply couldn't. She refused. This boyfriend was trouble, and that relationship caused strain between her and her siblings and her stepmom. I think he was isolating her, likely abusing her, if not physically, then certainly emotionally. And the family ultimately lost touch with Dana when she kind of like went back out on her own. So between like 16 and 18, she was like with this guy on and off. And after she turned 18, they more lost touch with her. And then obviously she was murdered and they didn't know. And they just thought that she had run away and was like with this guy. And then they were looking into the guy and found that years later, before Dana was identified, the boyfriend had died of a drug overdose in Ohio. So they were like, okay, well, fuck, then where is she? She's clearly not with him because he's dead. So they never stopped looking for her, ever. It's really fucking heartbreaking.
But they didn't have reason to believe that she was dead necessarily.
Right, because things were kind of rocky before they fully lost communication with her after she turned 18.
Did they live in Texas? The quote unquote stepmother and her family?
That I don't know. I don't think so. But because like her half brother is in Florida, they had been in like different places, but I don't know a whole lot about her half siblings' home life.
Just wondering if it was like totally random that she ended up in Texas.
Well, here's part of that. She was living in Texas, but this is all part of it too. So here we go. So when she was 18, she got a job selling magazine subscriptions. So Joseph Burnett was not lying about that he'd met this girl in a Walmart parking lot selling magazines. And there had been like CCTV footage of her, but it's like, it was in 2006 and it was at night. So it was like so shitty that they couldn't get an identification. But then after they determined the identity of Lavender Doe as Dana, they were able to show that footage to her family, who would like know her mannerisms, know her stature, and they were able to be like, yeah, we're pretty sure that's her. So it was like there was no conceivable possibility that this wasn't her and that this Burnett guy didn't fucking kill her.
Mm-hmm.
It just confirmed everything. So this magazine sales job took her around the country. And her half-brother, John, had tried to talk her out of taking this job because she was really young and encouraged her to move in with him in his Florida home. But she was 18 by that time and she wanted to be out on her own. And when she was killed, she was only 21 years old. So they lost touch with her for 3 years.
Jesus.
So, and like, you know, before she had died or been killed, it was rare that they communicated. I think a couple of phone calls every once in a while. And John even remembers the last time he spoke to her in 2006. It was only weeks before her murder. And he was still trying to convince her to come home. And she was saying no.
Mm.
And now I don't know a lot about the magazine subscription company. So what I'm about, I mean, I can't defame a company that I don't even know the name of, but this is what her surviving family was saying about it. So they were saying that the magazine subscription company was super shady. Again, I couldn't find a whole lot about it. And as far as I know, it doesn't exist anymore. But it appeared that the company preyed on young and vulnerable people desperate for work with like low wages and just like pounding the pavement to sell these fucking magazine subscriptions and like meet quotas.
Remember when we did that in middle school?
1,000% I had those thoughts. But that was for like school fundraising for like, we'd go door to door selling shit.
It's still kind of predatory for a company to
It is.
get
use school labor.
Yeah. We'll give you a pizza party in a limo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it was wild. But
that truly lit a fire under my ass to sell subscriptions.
Hell
though.
yeah, I want that pizza in a limo. Are you kidding me? I don't think I ever followed through enough to actually get those perks, but
I did. I got the pizza party in the limo one time. They just drove us around the MMW parking lot. Like that loop. We couldn't go off campus without like a waiver.
Wait. I have a vague memory of this. Did you bring me and Scott?
I don't know, man. This was in like 6th grade, but
maybe I'm just creating a memory around it.
It wasn't as fun as I thought it would be.
Then there's no way we were there. That answers that. Then you should have picked your crew better.
Whoa.
You done fucked up.
In what world could I pick people to go to a limo pizza party with me?
In 6th grade. Okay, so John, her half-brother, is saying that this company would like kind of glamorize the travel of the job when in reality they were putting them up in like seedy ass motels in unsafe locations all over the country and had them under sales quotas that pushed them to engage in unsafe practices like Dana desperately trying to sell fucking magazine subscriptions in a Walmart parking lot at night alone.
Yeah, that's
like,
really
what
gross.
What company gives a shit about their employees if their employees are out there pounding the pavement that hard doing that kind of shit?
You're
That's not safe.
Traveling magazine subscription salesperson.
A 21-year-old woman, and at the time she took the job, she was like 18. A kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe him when he says that, like, no, this company was fucked up. Her brother John called it, quote, just a form of human trafficking. Like, they didn't give a fuck about these people.
Okay.
Dana's family spoke to how much they loved her and consistently reached for her and how heartbroken her stepmother was over her disappearance. None of them had given up looking for her. 2 days after she was identified, her stepmother passed away. And her older sister said her mom was finally able to rest knowing her stepdaughter had been found.
Oh my God.
I know. Dana's surviving family threw a memorial replacing her anonymous grave marker to honor who she was as Dana Dodd and not Lavender Doe. It took place on what would have been her 34th birthday.
Oh, God.
I know. God damn it, Shannon.
So sad. Shannon, what the fuck is wrong with you?
But I also think that it's a powerful reminder that, like, we hear about all of these awful things happening in the world, and you don't have to be a professional to not be, like, not be just a bystander. Like, you can... There's nothing stopping you from looking into missing persons cases in your area or getting involved with a group that, you know, offers a skill share around work that speaks to you, that is like important to your community. that shit found this girl. Like,
yeah.
I
And
don't
if
know.
you feel so inclined, you can submit your shit to the DNA dope.
Every time I
program.
hear a story like this, I feel more compelled to do it. And I know that it's like, I don't want to give the government everything, but like, bitch, they already have everything. I'm so in the system. I'm chronically ill.
Yeah.
Like they have my DNA, babes.
If they want your identity, they'll just take it.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably don't.
I don't think they want mine.
Not
Anyway.
your corporeal identity, anyway.
No, fuck no. We covered some wide ranges of fascinating things. Who knew Lavender Crimes could be so compelling?
I know. When I finished my notes, I was like, I honestly think we could do a Lavender Crimes part 2.
We could. Like you said, we didn't even get to the south of France.
No.
I can't.
Regrettably.
I love it. So thank you so much, Shannon. Your fan pick was exquisite.
It was shockingly vibrant.
It was.
Okay, Shannon, say hi to Mary for us.
God love you, Mary.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.